Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory Srila Prabhupada. I hope you all are well. Welcome you all to His Holy Chandramauli Maharaja's daily call. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory Srila Prabhupada. So, today's Srimad Bhagavatam verses, Jai Hare Krishna. Today's verse is Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 9th chapter, and verse number 36. So, whenever Maharaj is ready, I'm just going to pin Maharaj. Maharaj, if you're ready, should I start sharing the screen? Just going to increase the font.
Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj.
This is a continuation from yesterday. We did part 1 of the verse and purport. Part 2. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Etavam eva jigyasyam tadva jignasunatmanaham anvayam vyatirikyabhyam yat syat sarvatra sarvada. Translation. So this is the 4th in the series of 4 verses known as the Chatur Sloki, or the essence of the philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam. Translation: a person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search it up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly. So what that verse is saying is one who is searching after the absolute truth, which is the personality of Godhead, must search this knowledge in all areas, in all places, directly and indirectly. So go down the page, and I'll tell you where to stop. Don't go too fast. Keep going. A little faster. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, stop there. You go back. Go back. Okay, a little bit farther back. Keep going back. Okay. Okay, so here we're talking about those persons who have no knowledge of spiritual life. So here it says undoubtedly the Bhagavad Gita, and of course it mentions the Bhagavatam, is accepted as one of the most brilliant stars on the horizon of spiritual sky. Yet the interpretations of this great book of knowledge have so grossly been distorted, and every student of the Bhagavad Gita is still in the same darkness of glaring material reflections. So there have been so many examples, or you might editions of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada said 664 when he was personally present. Now there's over 700 versions of the Gita. But we see what is the actual authentic Gita is the ones that bring people to the level of understanding the practice of bhakti and surrendering to it. And that is Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, as it is, has shown to be the bright light amongst all of the so-called editions of Bhagavad Gita. These students are hardly enlightened. These are the ones that are cheated by the false Bhagavad Gita. In the Gita, practically the same instruction has been imparted here in these 4 primary verses, but due to wrong fashionable interpretations by unauthorized persons, one cannot reach the ultimate conclusion. In Bhagavad Gita is clearly said, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridesher junatishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudani Mayaya. So here, a very important verse from the Gita, 1865. The Lord is situated in the hearts of all living beings as Super Soul Paramatma, and He is controlling all of them in the material world under the agency of His external energy. So according to people's desire to enjoy the material energy, the Super Soul is guiding them accordingly, and they are being controlled according to how they plug in to the external energy. So the Lord is facilitating that because He has put the material energy in place for the conditioned souls to try to act out this idea that they can enjoy in this material world. Therefore, He facilitates their desire. Therefore, it is clearly mentioned that the Lord is the supreme controller. He's in the hearts of everyone and He's directing, and that the living entities are all controlled by the Lord. So we are either controlled by the Lord or controlled by the material energy. You take a choice. We have our choice how to be controlled, but no one is free from control. In the same Bhagavad Gita, the Lord directs as follows: Manmana bhava mad bhakto, mam yaji mam namaskuru, mam vaisyasi satyam te, pratijana priyosime. So it is clear from this verse in the Gita that the direction of the Lord is that one should be God-minded. As Krishna says, always think of me. A devotee of the Lord also become a devotee. That means engage in devotional service. Worship the Lord and offer your obeisances, respects to the Lord. By doing so, the devotee will undoubtedly, so this word undoubtedly is emphasized, to go back home, back to Godhead. So this is the formula that Krishna explains just before he finalizes everything in the next verse. And what does he say? Always think of me. So Prabhupada would say, you have to think of something. The mind cannot be vacant at any moment. As soon as you try to make the mind vacant, the mind will fill up with all kinds of thoughts. So one should think of God and also engage in devotional service, become His devotee. Do worship of the Lord according to the process of bhakti. And then one must, in a humble way, offer their respects to the Lord. And this is the formula for perfection in bhakti. As it goes on to say, indirectly, it is said that the whole Vedic social construction of human society is so made that everyone acts as a part and parcel of the complete body of the Lord. So everyone is under the control of the Lord, either materially or spiritually. No one can be outside of His control. The intelligent class of men, or the Brahmanas, are situated on the face of the Lord. The administrative class of men, the Kshatriyas, are situated on the arms of the Lord. The productive class of men, the Vaishyas, are situated on the belt of the Lord. And the laboring class of men, the Sudras, are situated on the legs of the Lord. So here we have the Varna. Therefore, the complete social construction of the body of the Lord and all the parts of the body, namely Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, they're all meant to serve the Lord's whole body conjointly. That means cooperatively, in conjoint with others, parts of the same body. Sometimes we give a very simple definition. There's the head, the Brahmanas, the arms, the Kshatriyas, the belly, the Vaishyas, the Sudras of the legs. So for a body to function, what we say normally and healthily, all of these things have to be working, and they all work in conjunction with each other. The head of the Lord is the direction, the Kshatriyas, or the arms of the Lord carry it out. The belly of the Lord is for energy, foodstuffs, and for traveling from place to place, the legs of the Lord are there. Now, if they don't work conjointly, it says here, they become unfit to be coordinated with the supreme consciousness of oneness. Universal consciousness is factually achieved by coordinated service of all concerned to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that alone can ensure total perfection. So universal consciousness is achieved in a coordinated way to ensure everyone's benefit. So these four categories of varnas, activities, make up the activities of the conditioned souls in the material world. And this is the social aspect of society. Therefore, the great scientists, the great philosophers, the great mental speculators, the great politicians, the great industrialists, the great social reformers, etc., all of these great people in different categories cannot give any relief to the restless society of the material world because they do not know the secret of success as mentioned in this verse of the Bhagavatam, namely that one must know the mystery of Bhakti Yoga, and that is one must engage in devotional service. Mam namo nam nama namam duskritina mudha. These are describing the people in the material world who have different positions. This verse describes them. Namam duskritina mudha prapadyante naradamaha mayaya aparitya jnana vasurdam bhavam asritaha. This mentions the four classes of men. Don't move the page. There's no need to. So four classes are mentioned. Duskritina, the gross fool. Naradama, the people who think by social and political reformation, success in life is achieved. Maya Parita Gyan, those who are great thinkers, scientists, academics, who have gained so much knowledge, but they haven't gained the real knowledge, which is the actual goal of life. And the last one, Asuram Bhavam Asritam, and that is the atheists. These four types of people never surrender to Krishna. And it goes on to say, these so-called great leaders of human society are ignorant of this great knowledge of Bhakti Yoga and are always engaged in ignoble acts of sense gratification, bewildered by the external energy of the Lord. They are stubborn rebels against the supremacy of the personality of Godhead. And they never, this is the point, they never agreed to surrender unto him. Why? Because they're foolish, miscreants, lowest type of human beings. Yeah, so that's mentioned in this particular verse, 7:15, in the Bhagavad Gita. Four types of persons who never surrender to God. Such faithless non-believers may be highly educated in material sense of the term. So they may have some material carrier, but factually they are the greatest fools of the world because by the influence of the external material nature, all their so-called acquisition of knowledge has been made null and void. Why? Because it's not really knowledge, and in the same time, they are leading people in the wrong direction based on false knowledge. You're not giving them real knowledge of how to advance towards the goal of life. Therefore, all advancement of knowledge in the present concept of things is being misused by cats and dogs, fighting with one another for sense gratification. And all acquisition of knowledge in science, philosophy, fine arts, nationalism, economic development, religion, and great activities are being spoiled by being used as dresses for dead men. So Prabhupada is just making a very strong point. All their activities are useless because they have no knowledge, but they make it seem like they are actually leaders in society to guide society in these different categories of knowledge. But actually, they are cats and dogs. Why? Because they fight with each other. That we can see. And they're dressed as, and what are they? They're dead men. Why? Because a live man knows the goal of life. A dead man will appear to be alive, but will have no benefit in its existence. Then Prabhupada goes on with the analogy: there is no utility in the dresses used for covering a coffin of a dead body, saving getting false applause from the ignorant public. So people say, "Oh yes, what a great person he was, but now he's dead." So, the Srimad Bhagavatam therefore says again and again that without attainment of the status of Bhakti Yoga, all the activities of human society are considered to be absolute failures only. And this is a verse that Prabhupada quotes a lot. Parabhavastavad abodhajata yavana jigyasata atmatadvam yavat kriyastarvalidam manovai karmatmikam yena sarira bandhaha. As long as one is blind to inquiring after self-realization, here's the point. Self-realization is the goal of life. All of these material activities just maintain the body, but the body can never be maintained beyond a certain point anyway. So ultimately, all their activities are simply useless waste of time. And to maintain the body, you don't need great scientists to help you. You know how to eat, you can find a place to sleep, you can find some association, some married life, have some children. It doesn't require leaders to teach you how to do these things. Everything is done naturally by the human culture. And so, Prabhupada said all their activities, however great they may be, are all different kinds of defeat, wasting time, because the aim of human life is not fulfilled by such unwanted and profitless activities. So, focusing on the aim of life, everything else is unwanted and profitless. The function of the human body is to attain freedom from material bondage. So this is a very important point. We get a human body so we can free ourselves from getting any more bodies. The soul transmigrates from the lower species of life all the way up to the human form. And when it gets a human form of life, it has a chance to get free from the cycle of birth and death, which is the cause of the suffering of the living entities. But here it says, but misusing this human body by being fully absorbed in material activity, the mind will become overwhelmed in a whirlpool of matter spinning. Just like nowadays, the plan makers, the social plan makers, the political leaders, they're always coming up with new ideas how to improve life. But is there any improvement? Only more and more conflict, that's all. And thus, one will continue to be engaged in material bodies, life after life. Evam mana karma vasam pradyukte avidyamanai upaidiyamane pratirna yadvan maya vishvadeve namuchyate deha yogena tadvat. If one's mind, it is one's mind that generates different kinds of bodies for suffering in material pangs. Therefore, as long as the mind is absorbed in fruitive activities, that's the mode of passion. In other words, I do something in order to get some material gain from my activity. That's called fruitive activities. When the mind is absorbed in these things, it's understood to be absorbed in ignorance, and thus one is sure to be subjected to material bondage in different bodies again and again until one develops transcendental love for God, Vasudeva, the Supreme Person. So it's like going to school. If you keep failing the grade, you come back in the same grade and you get a chance again. So if we fail this human life, we get another chance in the next life to come back and try again until we understand what is the actual goal of life. And that is to develop our relationship with the Supreme Lord in eternal loving service. And that because our real home is the spiritual world. We are not this body. We have to remember this point. Although we are performing activities with the body, with the mind, with the intelligence, these are simply instruments for the soul's activity in the material world. But we are pure spiritual energy. We have no connection in the real sense of the term with this material energy because we don't belong in this material world. We belong with Krishna back in the spiritual world. So that is actually, so we're in a fallen condition as long as we're in the material world. And the process of bhakti, developing love for the Supreme Lord, is the ticket out of this cycle of birth, death, disease, old age, life after life after life, in different bodies and in different universes, continuing this cycle. And it's endless until that living entity becomes fortunate and comes in contact with the bona fide spiritual master who can bring one out of this cycle of misery, the samsara, davanadalita loka. The samsara means the cycle of birth and death. And to be absorbed in the transcendental name, qualities, form, and activities of the Supreme Person, Vasudeva, means to change the temper of the mind from matter to absolute knowledge, which leads one to the path of absolute realization, and thus one frees from one's material bondage and material contact and engagement in different material bodies. So this is basically the point of this verse, is to get out of this material energy through the process of bhakti yoga. So we'll stop there and we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for explaining the verse so nicely in the second part in so much in detail. I very much like the point what you mentioned about that Lord has the body in every all the parts of his body is working collaboratively. So this is how the devotee should do as well, work in cooperation. So thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Devotees, if you have any questions, comments, realizations, please unmute yourself and ask. You can also type it in the chat, and if you can please keep your cameras on, it'd be nice to take your darshan as well. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Devotees have chance to study these verses ahead of time, so there should be some questions.
Shiv Kumar Prabhu, please go ahead.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Maharaj and out prompts. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So Maharaj, just one question I wanted to ask Maharaj in this connection. In one of the lectures, a devotee was talking about the quantum physics that scientists are talking about, kind of leaning towards or moving towards the Brahman realization. So something on those lines I heard Maharaj. I just wanted to get your inputs, Maharaj, as to would it be possible for material scientists to somehow get to the level of Brahman realization without having to come to the scriptures, Maharaj? Is that possible?
Yeah, it is possible, but what is the value? They can understand the principle, but they can't experience Brahman realization. Because in order to experience Brahman realization, you have to engage in some type of yoga, either bhakti yoga or jnana yoga. So they can understand that maybe beyond all of this material, there is a source of that material, which is not material. And so they can understand that, and then they have to do investigation into what is not material. They think what is not what is spiritual is simply opposite of what is material, but that is not the complete definition of spiritual. Spiritual has its own existence. Material has its own existence. They mix only when the living entity connects in this material world with the material body, then material and spiritual are together in one body, or in one, what we say, created world. But still, there is a separation by nature. So they can understand, at least maybe the very great scientists, just like there was Albert Einstein. Although he came up with so many scientific theories, which are still being used today, he said that ultimately there is a God in this as the source of everything. He acknowledged that there is God. There is a greater sense of intelligence than what he had understood. So sometimes they can do that, and they can investigate the spiritual by some kind of material, but they can't experience it. All they can do is give some definition about what it may be like. That's all. And usually the definition is always wrong anyway. So there are people who use empirical knowledge, hypotheses, various types of ways to investigate things beyond the senses through using mathematics and various types of, physics is an advanced form of mathematics. That's all it is.
Thank you so much. Bernard.
Thanks, Kumar Prabhu. Sridevi Mataji.
Just like one thing that they understand, some of them understand that matter being mixed together doesn't produce life. Then they have to then they try to understand, well, what is the source of life? And then there's a whole thing called consciousness. So they understand consciousness because they're also conscious beings, but they don't understand how consciousness controls matter or directs matter. The supreme consciousness that directs matter is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we also can manipulate matter by our consciousness. So when you ask them what is consciousness, they can't give an answer. Because consciousness is spiritual. It's not material.
Okay.
Yeah, one of our devotees asked one well-known atheist, can you explain consciousness? He said, that I cannot do. He was honest. They can't figure out consciousness because it's the symptom of the soul, and therefore they don't accept the soul. Therefore, how can they understand consciousness?
Yes, Maharaj. So from your answer, Maharaj, I just got reminded, I don't recollect the name. The spiritual knowledge actually descends from top down from the Lord, whereas the material, it's like bottom up from here we are trying to go, which
Yes,
is not.
Aropanta and Avaropanta. Yeah. Yeah. One is going up and one is going down. But coming down is actually authorized, or what you say, true, because knowledge comes from a higher source down to the lower source. When the lower sources try to understand higher sources by empirical observation, we know that empirical observation can only go up to a certain limit, and then it can't go any farther. So they can't understand things beyond the range of the senses. It's not possible.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mira. Very insightful.
That's why they use telescopes and microscopes and various types of instruments to see things beyond their limited senses. But what they're seeing is evaluated by their limited senses. So They can see something beyond the senses using, instruments, but they can't understand what it is.
Okay. Okay.
And therefore they come up with theories based on what they think it is.
Okay.
So all their theories are just hypotheses, or what we say, speculations.
Okay. So interesting.
For instance, there was one particular scientific theory called the mirrors effect. The mirrors effect was that they would look up into the cosmos and they would see an arrangement of bodies, stars there. And then they would use that observation to make their theories based on what they had seen. But later on, 35 years later, after that theory had been in vogue, you might say, someone came up with the higher understanding that what you see, it was based on Einstein's theory, actually. What you see is actually millions of miles from where you actually see it. You're seeing something, but it's not where you're thinking it is, because the mirrors effect means that life refracts, and it's reflecting an object from a distant place into another place. And you're seeing it in the wrong place. Not there. It's just the reflection.
Okay.
So they threw out 35 years of research based on that. I have an article. I kept that article. I cut it out of a newspaper, which explains how they threw out that whole theory. And Prabhupada, when he would discuss these things with his devotees, they would always say, well, this is the latest scientific theory. And then next year, there would be a new one. Take something, come to some conclusion, say it's only a theory, and then because it's only a theory, it's not fact. And then they would work with that theory, and then the next year they come up with a new theory and throw out the old theory based on gathering more facts. So do we want to believe such knowledge? It's like a monkey writing on a piece of paper, trying to write down an article. Can you read it? None different.
That's good. It's an interesting point, Maharaj. You shared that whatever the research that people do, it's still confined to the senses. And we know it's limited and it's defective also.
Yeah, the senses, the mind, and you might even say the intelligence, but all of these are material and they're limited.
Yes.
That's why Jiva Goswami, in order to fortify that knowledge that's coming down as being authentic, he would say that transcendental knowledge is achintya. It's inconceivable. You accept it because you accept the authority. Once you accept the authority, then you accept what the authority says. So our authority is the pure devotees or Krishna himself. Therefore, those authorities are faultless.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Shiv Kumar Prabhu. Sridevi Mataji, just go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. As you were reading out this particular line, great scientists, great social reformers, great philosophers, great this, great that, so-called great, and they're all missing the point. They cannot give relief to restless society. It occurred to me that this knowledge should be made compulsory education in all the schools, so that right from the beginning, everyone is on the right track. Because when we begin on the wrong premise, then everything after that is wrong. It cannot be corrected until we come to the right understanding. So all this so-called education and Jad Vidya, it is just misleading people. It's a case of blind leading the blind and everyone going to hell.
So Srila Prabhupada had said, he penned one article, Krishna the Spiritual Scientist. So we also delve into scientific knowledge, but we have knowledge coming from Krishna and the authorities, or the bona fide spiritual authorities. So we also get into this subject matter, but not in the same way they get into it. We accept it coming from higher knowledge. If you go to school and you're sitting in front of the teacher and the teacher's teaching you, and you're trying to think, you're not taking what the teacher says, you're trying to create your own understanding of the lesson. Why don't you just take what the teacher said, because the teacher knows what the lesson is, or the knowledge you need to know. So they don't want to take any teacher. They want to be on their own teachers, or they want to take wrong teachers, unqualified teachers. And then they come up with something, and some new invention or some new theory, and then everybody kind of claps, and then they get Nobel Prize, and then they get some Nobel Prize, and they get some success based on that. They get some money, some glamour, some, prestige. Well, why did they give all the awards to Krishna? Because he's the original scientist. We should try to discover what Krishna has already put in place. That's all. We don't have to discover something new, because there is nothing new. Everything is put in place by Krishna.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for leading us on the right path and bringing us closer and closer to Srila Prabhupada's teachings through these classes. Hare Krishna.
Right. Thank you, Shridevi Mataji. Balwanitai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Jai Sri Nityananda, and all glories to the assembled devotees this morning. Piggybacking on Shiv Kumar's comments and his questions, I come from a totally atheistic, materialistic world. All my friends back before my Krishna consciousness were all some sort of demonolators or atheists of some kind. And, if you haven't been in those circles in a while, you'd be amazed at how snide, how self-assured and wicked they truly are. They really have a contempt for people who, and so many people in my life have abandoned me over the last few years, and because they think I'm totally cracked, no longer going along with the vogue of the nihilistic atheism that they think is a matter of course.
Let me say something.
Yes.
Srila Prabhupada was criticized when he started the movement. They used to call us crazy when they would see us. These people are crazy. So Prabhupada penned one article. It's called "Who is Crazy?" We say you're crazy, and you say we are crazy. So let's discuss. And then Prabhupada's conclusion was, one who doesn't know who they are, that's an example of craziness. So if you think you're the body, that means you're crazy, because it's not you. That's a form of insanity. So therefore, all of their theories, ideas, and plans are based on the idea that I am this body and this material world is meant for my enjoyment, which is the complete opposite of this world is meant for the enjoyment of Krishna, and all living beings are spiritual beings, not bodies. We have a body, but we're not the body. We have a car. The car gets us around, but we're not the car. We're in the car, we're in the body, but the body is not us. We direct the body through the mind and the intelligence, but the actual soul sits within the body. And when the soul leaves the body no longer functions. So, but they don't understand that because they don't want to understand it.
That was actually the what I wanted to try to bring out and ask your thoughts on. I of course don't have a mind for what shloka, the verse and what have you. But I read somewhere in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that materialists and atheists, there's something missing from them they can't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is it something their soul is so buried by tamagun that they just don't know that they're ignorant? Or is there actually a sort of spiritual force within them?
Yeah, well, that verse came up in the purport in today's discussion. Namam duskritina mudham papadyante naradama maya parita jnanam asuram asvam bhavitam. Krishna mentions 4 types of people who never surrender. The gross fool, the guy who gets his can of beer and sits in front of the television on the weekends and just, has his sports. His whole idea is to eat, drink, and to party and to go to work like an ass. He's just no better than an animal. That's one kind of person. Then you have Naradama. Naradama, they think by increasing social and political expertise within society, one can make a human society which will function for the benefit of all. So they put political and social institutions and the development of these things as the forefront of their activities. So these people never surrender to Krishna. Then you have Maya Parita Gyan. Maya Parita means their knowledge is stolen by illusion. They have so much knowledge, but they don't know anything. because they don't know who they are and they don't know what is the goal of life. And they think sense gratification is ultimately the goal of life. And therefore they pursue various types of knowledge in order to give their mind some kind of stimulation and think that they're great thinkers. They write books that are just a waste of paper. That's all. Nobody. You see how many books are on the market nowadays, and there's more books coming out. It's just, just a waste of paper. That's all. And people are charmed by such people. And then the last one was Suram Bhava Mastritam. That's the atheists, the demons, the ones who work actively against spiritual movements. Those people are the most despicable. And so Krishna mentions these 4 as the 4 types of people who never surrender. So your friends are in one of the categories. Probably in the first category, just getting intoxicated and then thinking that they know something because they got a different consciousness for a little while. You have to understand this material world is a fool's paradise. That's all it is. It's a paradise for fools. Because what is the goal? The goal is to enjoy the senses, and the senses and the mind are simply sources of misery. That's all. When you use the mind and the senses and you direct it towards the Supreme Lord in devotional service, then the mind and senses become spiritualized and purified. Then they become your friend. Nowadays, I'm getting on. I get some kind of updates from the secular world about what's going on there. Today, I got one was really kind of illustrates what's going on. It says people in the world now are not feeling themselves anymore. It says you should see how it's worded, that they understand there's something wrong, but they can't understand what it is.
No kidding.
In other words, they're not happy, but at the same time, they don't know why they're not happy. So now there's a whole new class of people. They're like what do they call them? Zombies. They're the Walking Dead. And so,
The
so
Walking Dead, but they're sure of everything at the same time,
yeah, if you go into a horror movie, you'll get disturbed. So you don't have to go into the movie anymore. It's right out in front of you. I travel a lot and I see people, and believe me, I've been traveling for 40 years. And the way people travel now, as opposed to what I remember when we first started to travel back in the 80s and the 90s, more like the 90s, it's a whole different mood. People are wild. People used to be somewhat civilized when they were traveling in public. Now they're just wild. It's wild. They don't care what they say or what they do in public. They just do it. There's a few good ones, but far, they just let everything hang out as they express their same anxiety when they're in public as they have and when they're in private. Anyway, this is Kali Yuga, and things are getting worse. But don't worry, Lord Chaitanya is here. We have the formula not only to pick ourselves up and move forward, but we also have the way to help others who are in trouble. This Krishna consciousness was ordained by the Supreme Lord at this particular time in the world, to save the world in a very dark time. You can imagine how dark it would be if there was no Krishna consciousness. You can't imagine. Somehow, because of the presence of devotees and the worship of the Supreme Lord going on around the world, somehow the world is still going on. And we can honestly say that. Otherwise, if it wasn't for the devotees, there would be hardly anything left. That's a fact. It's not just some statement of pride due to connection. It's actually a fact. Yes, Bhagavan Chaitanya.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Vaishnavas everywhere. Guru Maharaj, I changed my question. I had something else in mind. I forgot, based on what you just said. Asking this without pride. I think in our scriptures at one point it says, devotees make it rain. Yajna make it rain. Yajna is a thing that used to make it rain. And now in this yuga, yajna is basically Krishna consciousness and taking the name of the Lord. And through our japa, is that what you meant, Maharaj, when you said that things will be far worse? Are we making it rain, Maharaj?
Well, right now, I'd say outside where I am, it's raining. I'm at the end of the monsoon season in India.
Amazingly, Maharaj, it's also raining outside here in Detroit.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's good to be connected.
Yes.
So, I could tell you a story.
Please do.
It's kind of long. This
That's
is a
perfectly okay, Maharaj. Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
personal story. I think
Mhm.
some devotees might have heard it, but
Yeah.
this was back in the 1980s, the end of the 80s, actually, in the beginning of the 90s. I was running a preaching center in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was doing my 501c, 501c, which is your tax.
Non-profit.
Yeah. So I found a lawyer, and he came and he was doing our books. So we became friends. He came to the temple, and then and we were talking, and then he revealed that he also was a disc jockey on a radio show that was for 3 hours every day from 9 a.m. to noon. And he invited me to come on. He said, you seem to be very interesting, unique. I think it would make a nice show for our audience. Now, this radio station covered 38 states. It had millions of listeners. It was a famous talk show. Yeah. The man's name was Bill Cunningham. I still remember him. So he had me on, and he was asking me questions about Krishna consciousness. And then at one point he said, you guys chant, right? He said, can you give us that chant? So I chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, but I didn't chant it. I sang it. Oh, that was very nice. He said, we have to do station breaks every 20 minutes, and we usually play some kind of musical, jingle. So I want to change the musical jingle to the Hare Krishna mantra. I said, great. So he recorded me. So that was good. So I stayed there for a few hours, and then I left. Now, during the period after that, there was a major drought in that area of the United States, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, what was it, Indiana, and all of it was in a very dry time. So dry that the local governments were placing fines on people if they found them using water to water their lawns or to wash their cars. So he had found out from me that we had a community in West Virginia named New Vrindavan. So he asked me if I could come back and bring some of the members of the New Vrindavan community with us. So I arranged that, and then he had me on the show again. This was a few months later, and this was in the midst of the drought. So now there was about 4 or 5 of us, and the leader of the community in New Vrindavan also was there. And he was the senior, and he was Kirtananda Swami, he was the Maharaj. So we're talking, and at one point, Bill said, and this was early in the show, can you guys make it rain? And Kirtananda Swami immediately said, yes, we can make it rain. And he kind of wide-eyed, and he almost fell off his chair. He said, you guys are going to be known as a false prophet. And we were persistent. He said, no, we can make it rain. He said, you sure? Yeah. How? Well, we're going to chant Hare Krishna, and we're going to ask everyone who's out there in the radio land listening to chant with us. Okay, so that was the formula. So we all got together and we started to do a little kirtan.
Wow.
And then he was encouraging people who were, listening to join in the kirtan. He was really, really enthusiastic about it. So we chanted for about 5 minutes. This was about 9:30 in the morning, beginning of the show. So then we stopped and we went on for a while, and then the show. And about 11:30, there was a call from a weather reporter who roams around. They have these guys looking around. So he calls in and he says, "Hey, Bill, there's some clouds up here."
Haribol.
And that was about 11:30, 2 hours after our program. And then the program ended. And 2:30 that day, I remember, it was a major downpour.
Wow.
And it rained for 3 solid days. It didn't stop.
Yeah.
And, so we got everyone to chant, and they all chanted. We couldn't do it alone,
Yeah.
but it started to rain. And then Bill got so excited after the whole thing.
Yeah.
He went to the local government in Cincinnati and said, "We have to award the Hare Krishnas because they made it rain."
Yeah.
So they were also into it. And so we received what is called the key of the city,
Wow.
which is considered a very honorable award.
Yeah. Yes. The mayor gives the key to the city symbolically. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got that for Cincinnati that year.
Yeah.
So that's one of many experiences where, of course, we don't use the holy name in order to correct material dilemmas or difficulties. But in this case, it was an opportunity to get everyone to chant.
Yes.
So we took advantage of that. And because obviously people chanted, because they
Yes.
really wanted it to rain, they were willing to do anything.
Right.
And so so I have that on video. Maybe I can show it to you someday.
Yes, that'd be awesome, Maharaj. That's an amazing story, Maharaj. Thank you for sharing it. And also, what is extra amazing about this story is that Krishna gave intelligence to this radio DJ William
Yeah.
to, encourage people out there to do it, and everybody probably got the benefit from it, and the material benefit was also there. That was great.
He was an interesting guy, very kind of uppity, always making jokes and kind of like really friendly, kind of a nice guy to be with.
Yeah.
Well, you say he used the word, he was kind of flippant, So, I mean, he kind of fit in with us.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And Prabhupada tells another story when he was very young, how they pushed back a very bad plague in Calcutta during the time when it was so bad that hundreds of people every day were dying of this plague. Well, one Babaji, they tried everything to push back the plague, but nothing worked. So one Babaji organized Harinam Sankirtan. And then he went through all of the houses in Calcutta doing kirtan. And it says, Prabhupada said, because of that, the plague subsided.
Wow.
So, but again, Prabhupada makes the point, we don't, use these things in a material way, because the holy name is not meant to be used in them. But it will work like that. But we use the holy name simply to glorify Krishna and to purify our consciousness.
That's my life. Thank you so much, Maharaj. It's an amazing story. Yes, we can make it rain.
Yeah. There's been other stories too that I'm not familiar with the details, but it's happened a few times.
Thank you. Thanks, Bhagwan Chaitanya Prabhu.
Yeah.
There's a question from Sonal Mataji Maharaj. I'll just read that.
No, go.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances unto you and all the assembled Vaishnavas. What is the origin of the faith in the first place? As even in the same family, one child is faithful to the Lord and the other is not? Is it mercy of the devotee in the past?
Well, that's an interesting question because there could be many different answers. Just like Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of demons, but he was there in order to liberate his demoniac father. So sometimes a faithful child will be born in a family of faithlessness in order to give the family some benefit. That's one reason. Sometimes it's the opposite, where the family is all devotees and then there's one rascal in the family who doesn't want anything to do with God and wants to do his own thing. I know one family like that. So yeah. So maybe Dheeraj, he can answer that question. So yeah, so he's born in a family with his father's Hiranyakashipu, and so he's there. Maybe he's not as bad as Hiranyakashipu, but there's certain indications. So sometimes we see, a child takes to Krishna conscious and the parents are vehemently against it, or maybe even one of the parents like that. So yeah, there's some karma that's there in that situation. And karma is really hard to explain, but actually it's karma.
Thank you, Maharaj. Just a cross question of Sonal Mataji. I'm not sure if you can unmute and if you have any cross questions on this.
Yeah, Maharaj, because sometimes I feel that we are giving all this knowledge to, say, in the schools or everything, but if the people are, or if the children are not ready to accept it or receive it, how will they be able to realize this knowledge? Because the knowledge is there now everywhere, and still, I've got friends who are not Krishna conscious and they are otherwise good people. So Prabhupada has given the method that chant and give prasadam to begin with. So is that the only way we should stick and not create any other ways for them to accept the knowledge?
Well, to make a person Krishna conscious, you have to understand a little bit about them and what will be the easiest thing for them to accept. So in a general sense, prasadam works for most people, where philosophy, they just block philosophy. They say it's a waste. I can't understand it. And you could be using, what they usually say is you're wasting your time in this. You could be doing other things and making money and building your career, That's what they say. And because that's their understanding of happiness or life. And there are people, they just can't go beyond a certain level of understanding. When the mind is too much engrossed in sense gratification, it can't understand anything about God. Even if it's right in front of them, they still can't understand it. I mean, we have the example of Duryodhana. Krishna showed the universal form to Duryodhana, and Duryodhana still remained against Krishna. He knew Krishna was God, but still, he was so attached to his own way that he just rejected Krishna anyway. Dhritarashtra was the same thing. Dhritarashtra knew Krishna was the Supreme Lord, but he was so attached to his family members that he supported them against Krishna. So material attachments go very deep.
So for those people, we should not over endeavor to change them. Just let it be, right?
Yeah, it's a waste of time. Work with people who are a little bit interested. Then then your efforts will show some results.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sonan Mataji. Maharaj, I have just a cross question on this, what Mataji has asked, because in the last paragraph, what we read just now on this verse, it said that the mind is the reason for our, coming back in this birth world again and again, material world. So, and it also said that the mercy of the devotees and the Lord is also important. And I sometimes look at the examples of Jagai Madhai, and it looks like the mind was completely, not at the right place, but they got the mercy and they were delivered. So is it that we should, like, whatever we try, how much we try, our mind will always be, do some mischief, like there will be desires, but is it that we should spend more time and energy in our thoughts in getting the mercy of the Lord and the Vaishnavas? Then, yeah, what can be the.
Well, again, if you're preaching, you have to see what you're out there distributing books. That's very effective because you don't put there's no you don't put them in any difficult situations. Take a book, read it, take it home with you, and if you think it's interesting, then you know, then we have more books. So you give them a chance to experience Krishna consciousness. And that's preaching. Preaching means to change the heart, change the mind, or at least make them somewhat interested, favorable. And people are different. You can't generalize when it comes to people. They're all different.
Okay. So what to do, Maharaj? Like I've seen in our congregation as well, there are many devotees who are very much interested in serving. So their service attitude is even much, much better than the devotees who are, chanting 16 japa, got initiated. But they don't want to, the devotees who are serving, they don't have the interest in chanting. It's been like 15, 20 years, they're completely dedicated in serving, but they have not picked up their bead bag. Like they don't want to chant at all. So what do we think about this, devotee? What do we do with this?
Just let them keep serving and then, just chant around them. So maybe they'll hear the holy name and become. What can you do? People, they know the chanting will be a commitment. They don't want to make a commitment, but they like the idea of service.
Yeah.
No commitment. They can show up or not show up when it comes to service. When chanting is you take a vow, a promise. Then you are actually saying to Krishna, this is what I'm going to do every day in your service. But they don't want to make any commitment. They can serve when they want, and they cannot serve when they don't want. Right? They come when they want, and they go when they want.
Yeah. So should we be spending our energy on this type of people, Maharaj, or
Oh, if they're in the temple, just have kirtan.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, just expose them to the process. That's all. And anything you're going to say is not going to work. So just give them a maximum chance to get in contact with the spiritual energy. Expose them as much as you can. Invite them to come to programs. Invite them to, come to festivals. In festivals, we always chant.
Yeah. And how can one be inspired to take the next step after doing 16 japa, Maharaj, So taking taking up the path of accepting a spiritual master, how one can be inspired?
Yeah, if they're following the process will also work in such a way as to take you to the next step.
Okay.
The process works. The inspiration comes from the process itself. Chanting leads to chanting. Association, nice association. The devotees will look for more opportunities to associate.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is bring them into the area of activities. That's all.
That makes very much sense, Maharaj. This is first time I've heard that process will inspire.
You can trick them. Just say, we need somebody to do this service today, and then invite them to come during a big kirtan.
Yeah.
And if they hear the holy name, something's happening.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry, Sridevi Mataji, to keep you waiting. Please go ahead.
Yeah, they'll do the service for material gain, but they're doing something anyway, better than nothing.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Sonal Mataji's question, Maharaj, about family members, and immediately what came to mind was Danakeli Mataji. Danakeli Mataji has an identical twin sister, and they both came across the books, I think, in college or something like that. And Danakeli Mataji really took to it, and she really, ran with it. But her sister would have nothing to do with it. After a few weeks, she went to see her sister and she found all the books in the trash can. She said, "Oh my God, you thrown them. Yeah, you can have them. I don't want them." And that twin sister never ever took to Krishna consciousness. Well, Danakeli Mataji is a wonderful devotee. So they're identical twins.
Yeah, her husband used to tell me he couldn't even tell which one was his wife.
She would always say the soul is different. Like that.
Thank you. Thank you, Devi Mataji, for adding that. So we have a request from Ananta Sesha Prabhu and Manisha Mataji. Maharaj, if you can share that video you mentioned about the rain and your Sankirtan achievement. You mentioned that there is a video if anyone want to see, so they would like to see, maybe if you can find it whenever.
The video is sitting in Croatia and I'm in India.
Oh, okay. No worries.
So I'll be in India for a long time.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So it's there when I get back, if I remember. That'll be in February.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
That's fine, Maharaj.
Remind me. Write it down.
Yes.
Okay, so we can stop here. And seems like no more questions. This verse, we did 2 parts on the same verse. Tomorrow we'll do the 3rd part, and then the next day we'll do the next part. Tomorrow is also the disappearance day of Srila Haridas Thakur. Today is the appearance day of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So 2 very important days. But we'll stick with the verse.
Maharaj, Shilpesh Prabhu might have a question, I think. Shilpesh Prabhu, you want to unmute?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, on this kind of topic that Sonal Mataji is kind of questioned into, in understanding Vedic times, even how we would marry, there would be like, you would marry certain communities only, and your children and your offspring. I know it's a bit of a material science, but we would marry in certain ways so that, your offspring would be, I guess, beneficial. whereas in today's society, everything is very mixed up. Does that have a bearing on like what soul takes birth within the family?
Yeah. It does to some degree. If both people are devotees, then obviously there'll be a good soul. But people marry according to usually economic or particular with different gotras. They stay within the same gotra. Like that. So that's to ensure compatibility, at least on the material level. If the husband is poor and the wife is rich, and then we have the example of Devahuti and Candramauli. He was just a yogi and living in a hut, and she was a princess. She was the daughter of Swami, who was the king. But he understood her situation, so he used his mystic power to give her some luxury. But at one point he left. But he left her a son, and that son was Kapila Dev, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mm-hmm. So yeah, sometimes the marriages are not aligned according to gotra or economic status. Usually people will do horoscopes though. There's a nice, if you want to learn more about this subject matter, you go to the third canto, 15th chapter in the third canto, and you get a lot of information on how to match up boy and girl. That's in the Bhagavatam, the third canto.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Thank you.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for your time and association. It's very helping.
Thank
Good.
you so
We'll
much, Guru
continue.
Maharaj, for your mercy on all of us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Hare
so much,
Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Guru
Thank-
Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Krishna.
Thank you, Satyabhama.
Thank you so much.
Got a nice group today. Okay.
30 people almost.
Yeah, everyone's smiling, almost.
They've got your smile, Guru Maharaj, your
Yeah,
effect.
exactly, because you are smiling, Guru Maharaj.
That's why everyone is smiling.
I'm smiling because I'm watching you smile.
I smile because you smile.
Here comes the sun, I say. When you are there, Guru Maharaj, everything is wonderful, everything is
So true.
sublime, everything is divine, everything is so easy. And once the Zoom call is over, oh my God.
That's right. Oh my God, go back to God now. I'm chanting his name.
We're holding your dhoti, Guru Maharaj.
We're clinging to your lotus feet for dear life, Guru Maharaj.
Krishna consciousness is continuous if you allow it to happen. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Ho.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Jai